Hey, hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. Let me do a proper.
It's time to sip that coffee, get your mind right, and vibe with the queen herself. We're dishing out hot topics, wellness tips of the day, and things that make you go, Let's get this palace party started.
All right. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the Palace. Y'all, this is a conversation that I had to have. I'm going to try not to be here too long today. If this is your first time to the Palace, that's what we call ourselves, the Palace. I am Queen Sheba. I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. And we are here for the Black and Nigerian experience of it all. Y'all, this week, the past episode of Family or Fiance had me clutching my pearls. My question is, did you see it? Did you see it? It was so freaking good. It was good. Bravo. I do not know how Family or Fiance is not the number one show at OWN. What am I missing? This should be the number one show at OWN. And maybe it's because they focus more on family therapy and bringing people together as opposed to tearing shit up and pushing families apart, that people really don't lean in and tune into it. But I'm just going to say, if y'all are interested in shaking some things up and kind of changing the algorithm on OWN, please consider watching Family or Fiance. It's a phenomenal show. I've always liked it from season to season. This episode blew me away. This episode completely blew me away. And we're going to talk about it. Tammy Bold said, this episode sent me over the edge. Me too, Tammy. Me too. Tammy, I was all over the place with my emotions. But at the end of the day, I feel like they brought it to a good place towards the end. Now, listen, we got to talk about it. The Nigerian culture clash. That's the title of my segment. The Nigerian culture clash. How Nigerian mother-in-laws, I'm sorry, y'all, listen, some people going to be ticked off. Queen Sheba, we don't like the title. Well, we're going to talk about it. How Nigerian mother-in-laws destroy marriages. Family or Fiance, because she damn near destroyed this marriage. And Alex 25 says, yes, that mother-in-law is unhinged. The uncle is suspect to me. Which uncle? Brittany's uncle or Jide's uncle? Because it was two uncles there. Which one? Is me too. He's suspect to me, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Y'all, we're going to take a look. I'm going to show you the footage. I'm going to show you the clip that has social media going wild. I'm going to give you my thoughts. And if you are Nigerian, if you are African, if you're a different culture, please feel free when I open up the link. Feel free to click the link to come in and kind of walk us through the family dynamics and the expectations of a wife, okay, in your culture. Now, I can't give you all day to run it down. You're going to have to be able to summarize it in 30 to 90 seconds, okay? Y'all ready to look at this clip? Are y'all ready? Okay, let's get the clip teed up. And then we're going to walk through it. I'm going to give you my thoughts. Here we go. Yeah. Not that one. I got it. Here we go. All right. Let me take down all of the comments. Okay. Girl, what's the tea? Said his mother was wrong. I'm sorry. I understand culture, but you are not in Nigeria. So all of the wives should bow down to his mother. Now, miss me with that. Simone Wealthy says that mother-in-law is crazy as cat. Oh, me too, Aries. Okay, can we come back to that? Okay, I'm going to open up the line. I want to, y'all, hey, Gently Coy, welcome. We are talking Family or Fiance. This has been a incredible episode. And before we jump in, let me honor my super chats really quickly.
All right, Palace, the Super Chat Squad is in the building. We appreciate you, baby. The Super Chats are fire. Get in your bag.
That's a lot of money.
All right. Congratulations to the Daily Rundown, who's a new member of the Palace. Thank you for joining the Palace. We look forward to seeing you behind the wall. And speaking of new members, if you haven't already, there's a priority membership, y'all. The priority membership, we are going on a trip to Arizona in May. If you want to join us and it's a beautiful resort. It's the resort where they shoot 90 Day Fiance. Um, get back there. Get the information, book the flights. The flights are really cheap right now. So if you haven't already, make sure you get those flights booked, honey. And listen, they're so cheap, depending on where you're coming from. You may be able to book first class and treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself, treat yourself. CW, thank you for the 5P. She says, I am not a fan of the rapper Jeezy, but his Eastern Asian culture mother-in-law played a huge part in his marital issues. Okay, what do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? Does she make a good point? Let's get into the scene. And then I want to know then I'm going to share my thoughts in real time. And then I would like to open up the stream for you to come in, click the link. You do not have to show your face on camera. And we're going to get into the thick of it. How this Nigerian mother-in-law damn near ruined this marriage. I really try to mind my own business as Hey Queen Sheba Mod's Palace. I watch Family or Fiance and haven't had a chance to look at this episode. It's fire. Here we go. Look at mama's face. His task from the therapist was to sit down, and we're using this to hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. So I have to pause it to put some educational pieces in there so that OWN doesn't come and get me, okay? His task, the therapist tasked him, you need to sit down with your mom and set boundaries with her, okay? Here we go. That's his uncle. That's his Nigerian uncle. His fiance was the girl that just said, was it hard for you to... The mom is saying, why are you asking my son, was it hard to have a conversation with me? If my son didn't want to marry you and have a good relationship with you, he wouldn't be here with all of us. It all seems innocent, right? Let's continue. The accent. The mom says, since you all have moved in together, have I interfered with you? This is the fiance. She says, I'm sorry. Did I insinuate that you interfered? Here we go. Oh, this is tough, y'all. Should we continue? Hold on, because maybe some of you haven't seen it. Yes. Wow. 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 Let's continue. Listen, this episode was on fire from start to finish, y'all. This was a climax in the show. Daryl Long says, child, you have to respect her, she said. Listen, CW says Dr. Wendy claims to be Nigerian. So what did she go through? It was more of a class thing between Wendy and Eddie. Eddie's family is more well off and established. Oh, that's a whole different conversation there, girl. We can go down that rabbit hole. Listen. All right. Are y'all ready to get into it? I want to talk about Family or Fiance. This is our first time really covering it. I watch it all the time. I'm a fan of the show. This episode, I had to come out of the bushes. Now, Family or Fiance, they start off, and the guy's name is G-Day. G-Day. His fiance's name is Brittany. G-Day and Brittany. Okay, this is Brittany. This is the mama. That's the mama. Her name is Veronica. G-Day, who's the male, starts off by explaining the dynamics of he and his mother's relationship. And he says, my mom and I, we are each other's everything. This is the contention in the relationship. Brittany and G-Day were celebrating Valentine's Day. The mama came over, the Nigerian mother-in-law came over to share Valentine's Day with them, y'all. And when they were done eating, so first of all, ma'am, that's for couples. That's for love. They're dating. But the mom insisted that she gets to share Valentine's Day with them. When they were done eating, the mama insisted, y'all, that this girl take her plate to the kitchen. Here's the problem. G-Day, her son, was already taking her plate to the kitchen, but she wanted the girl to take the plate to the kitchen. Now, this is where I have a problem with G-Day. He let her. Wait, he let her. The mother claims that it's symbolic of respect in the Nigerian culture that the wife waits on her. Is that correct, y'all? Do we have any Nigerians? Do we have any people of African descent that are wives or sons and have a healthy dynamic? Can you break that down for us, or you can wait until I drop the link? So the mother said the fact that you didn't take my plate was disrespectful. That and I had to ask you. She insisted. Ma'am, you were being respected, Miss Veronica. When your son allowed you to crash their Valentine's Day dinner, you were being respected. You were also being respected when your son took your plate, but you instructed him to put the plate down and demanded that the American girl take the plate to the kitchen. Let me cook. Now, to me, that's a form of humiliation because I honed in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. You wanted to humiliate that girl. You wanted to knock her down a notch by making her a slave to you emotionally. To prove what? I'm not sure. That's why I need you all's help that are tuned into the chat. We're going to explore that a little bit later. But here's my thing about you, G-Day. You didn't protect your soon to be wife from your mother. You allowed it to happen in real time. And let me tell you something, the reason why I have a problem with it, things don't just start overnight, y'all. It begins gradually. And in my opinion, and I believe this is a gradual power move by the Nigerian mother. What are your thoughts? And we're going to move on. This, in my opinion, is a gradual testing of the waters. Valerie R says it's about control over the son being priority, in my opinion. Shay Littleton says, that's right. Let's see. Sweet Jane says facts. And if that was my daughter, I would have pulled up on her so quick. You and me both. CW says, oh dear, now where was this American girl's mother? Girl, we're going to get into it. I'm going to tell you about that. We're going to get into it. Brenda says she would not have carried that plate to the kitchen. You wouldn't have carried it to the kitchen? Okay, let's continue. So let me give you a little bit of background about the girl. Her name is Brittany. I'm gonna shift the photo to Brittany. So this is Brittany. Brittany lost her mom at 10 months old. Her mom passed away. After her mom passed away, she and her siblings were just left alone in the house with the father. The father beat them bad, y'all. It came out in this episode that the father physically abused them bad, real bad. And everybody in the house knew that they were being physically harmed by the father, and nobody stopped it. Okay. So she never even know her mama. She don't remember what her mama looks like. She has no attachment to her mom because her mom passed away when she was 10 months old. She doesn't have any strong connections with her family. Okay. And then imagine that. Then she runs into this, I'm going to say, emotionally abusive Nigerian mother-in-law. Then we come to find out in this episode that she was sexually abused. She never said by who. That she was sexually abused in addition to being physically abused. She never said who, or if she did, they cut it out the episode. She told people in her family. She told her grandmother. I believe she said she told her uncle and nobody believed her. Or if they did believe her, they didn't let on. Give me 1 second. Sorry, my dog is really into this story. He couldn't believe that they let it go on. So he just started barking. He's disappointed. So anywho, yeah. And as opposed to prioritizing her abuse, y'all, they prioritized her father over her. They protected the men. They protected the Black men in this instances. So I'm assuming we got two different Black men that's harming this young girl. As opposed to protecting the young girl, they protected these big overgrown ass men. Okay. Now, just as a question, and I'm just throwing this out in the atmosphere. Why are we not allowed to say who did what as women? How come we didn't plug that in that episode? Or plug the relationship? And the reason, do you think it's important for us to know? Do you think it's important for you to know as a parent? Do you think it's important for kids or young girls watching to know what the relation, even if she didn't say the name, just what the relationship is? I think it would have been important, but of course, I understand the legalities of being very careful. But if she would have given us the relation, I think that's good for the general public so that people can be on the lookout. You know, was it an uncle? Was it a brother? Who was it? Because people are raising kids, and you assume that your family is safe. You assume that these men, these cousins, these brothers, these uncles, that your little girls are safe. And if they're not, we need to know the relations so that we can be aware. Or it's just me being nosy. But I don't like the fact that she was allowed to tell her story to a certain extent, but I kind of feel like we protected the predator. And I feel like this would have been a great teaching moment. Now, Jude, let's go to Jide. Jide. Let me go to him. This is Jide. This is her fiance. Hold on. Where is he at? This is Why is it not showing him? There he is. When they arrive, Brittany's uncle came. Brittany's uncle showed up for her. Brittany's grandmother showed up for her, whom she refers to as mom, and her brother showed up for her. When Jide's family arrived, his mother showed up, his uncle showed up, and his sister named Buki showed up. Here's the weird part. Buki is his sister, but he's never met her before. He's never ever in his life met his sister Buki. So in the process of him trying to iron out these toxic dynamics with his mom, the culture, the Nigerian culture, and then his American fiance, damn, they throw a monkey wrench and a plot twist. Come to find out, here comes this sister named Buki that he never met. So in my opinion, they both have similar family dynamics because Brittany also has a brother that showed up that she ain't talked to in years, y'all. This is crazy. So this man hasn't even met his sister Buki, and she hasn't seen her brother, and Brittany hasn't seen her brother in years. So his family arrived first, her family arrived second. She was moved to tears because the dynamic in the family, as her grandmother is coming in, as her uncle is walking in, as Brittany, and as her brother is walking in, she breaks down. She has to remove herself from the scene because the family dynamics still hurt. I think there's so much going on with this family. She was reduced to tears and had to step away. Her grandmother and uncle there, and when they started to describe her, they described her as sensitive yet fiery. I can relate to being two things at once. Now, Brittany's family expressed their concern with her marrying into this Nigerian family. They had three primary concerns. Number one, their primary concern was that she would be taken advantage of by the Nigerians because she's such a nice, sensitive, kind girl. That was her grandmother's concern, that they would take advantage of her and walk all over her. The second concern came from her brother. He was concerned about the cultural differences. The third concern came by her uncle. He's concerned that the Jide wasn't going to honor her as his wife and that he would not prioritize the marriage over his Nigerian mother, whom everybody has described as very dominant, right? And the uncle said he's concerned because the loyalty belongs to your wife and not your mama. Ooh, we finna hurt some feelings today. We finna hurt some feelings today. Let me say it again. The loyalty belongs to the wife and not your mama. Okay, boys? Now, let's move to G-Day. G-Day family, they had three primary concerns. Their number one concern was from his sister, Buki. Buki said, I'm concerned because there's so many dynamics at place. Number one, you've never met me. Number two, you're about to get married. I just hope you're able to integrate all of this properly. The second concern was from his uncle. His uncle says, your mama's extremely dominant woman and she's controlling. That's my first concern. The uncle's other concern was your father. There's so much negativity around your relationship with your father. I don't know how that's going to impact you in your marriage. This is good, y'all. It's heavy, but it's good because now we have Blacks talking about the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. And then we have the Nigerians talking. The third concern that they had is the mom said, watch this, Miss Veronica, the Nigerian mother-in-law, guess what her concern was? Her concern about them marrying each other is that the bride, the woman that her son is marrying, is too sensitive and too soft.
Oh my God.
I kid you not. That was her concern. Okay. I'm going to pause there. So the therapist assigns them different tasks that they have to do. Brittany goes off with his family. He goes off with Brittany's family. Brittany's assignment was to eat cake and answer questions. His assignment was to rank what's most important to him to the least. So Brittany sits down with his family. The she discusses the Valentine's Day incident, and then she got into her abuse situation, being physically and sexually abused. That was really tough to watch. That was so tough to watch. Number one, my primary concern is nobody got up to embrace her. Nobody got up to embrace her. And that really scares me as a society and as a whole, whether you're Nigerian, black, white, yellow, brown, because I think we've all been desensitized to pain. I think it's become so normal that we leave people out on islands by themselves to deal with trauma, right? That concerned me. So that's what she brought up. Let me go to G Day and his exercise. He had to rank what was most important to him as a husband. He ranked God first. He ranked his wife second. He ranked his mother third. He ranked money fourth. And he ranked social life as 5. Now, my lineup would have been different. My lineup would have been different. I ain't gonna lie. I would have shuffled one. Let me tell you what his lineup is. God, God, wife, mother, money, social life. Okay, y'all, I don't know. Y'all may not like my lineup. I'ma just say, put your lineup in the chat, or you can come up and click the link. Here's my lineup. It would have been God, husband, money, mother, and then social life. Because in order to take care, y'all, I'm acting a fool. I'm sorry, mama. You're gonna have to wait. I need to go get this money. I'll be getting to the money. Everybody mad. Let me tell you why I would have put money. I would have put money first because I gotta have money to take care of my mother. So, mama, you lived your life. And now you're dependent on me, girl. Let me go get this money. Because if I don't get this money, I'm not going to be able to take care of you. And that's why I would have had my lineup. Girl, what's the T? Said she would have put God, husband, money, mother, social. Thank you. Okay, Sexy RN said God, husband, money, social. Oh, very interesting. Social and then mother. Goldie 411 says, yes, I was thinking the same. No one even embraced her, but I suspect they already knew all of this. And were pretending to care in that moment. Valerie R says, God, husband, children, money, and social. They don't have children yet. So that's why they didn't have that on there. Committed to the Journey says, God, hubby, money, mom, and social life. Let me read a few more of your lineups. Miss Angie says, God, husband, money, mom. Okay, so I'm not crazy. We're all on one accord. Okay, and there's no right or wrong, but immediately that would have been my shuffle. All right. So he did all of that. He's a very kind man. And then he looked at her family, y'all. He asked them point blank, what was happening in your family that you'd allowed her to be abused sexually and not protect her? He caught their asses off guard. They didn't know that was coming. Oh, honey, you should have seen the look on the uncle's face. To me, Brittany's uncle responded that he cannot address what he doesn't know. I kid you not. The man had the nerve to open his mouth and says, I can't really talk about what I don't know.
Wow.
Okay. Ouch. Do you feel, for those of you tuned in, and for those of you that were able to capture the episode, do you feel this was more of a defensive response on the behalf of Brittany's uncle? He said when he heard about it, there was a level of disbelief. Watch this. He said he couldn't believe it. And we all of us as human beings need some type of understanding. Sir, absolutely not. Sir, no, there is no understanding. There is no goddamn understanding when it comes to a child being sexually harmed by a grown ass man. What the hell did you mean? Everybody needs a little bit of tender, loving, understanding, and care. It's not that simple. It's complicated. Have you lost your cotton picking mind? That is crazy to me. And I agree with you, Ruby Jewel. I felt like it was very defensive. Brittany told G-Day's family that she was physically and sexually abused in her family. As the camera began to pan around the faces at the table, they panned at Buki, who's G-Day's sister, Buki's uncle, G-Day's uncle, and then they got to the Nigerian mother-in-law. Now, I'm going to say this. From the look on her face, she appeared to be the mother-in-law. She seemed stoic. She seemed very stoic when she heard the news that her daughter-in-law had been traumatized as a little girl. And maybe it's a cultural thing and you're not supposed to talk about that kind of stuff out loud in Nigerian culture, but I don't know. She just didn't seem to care. Someone will probably need to educate us on that piece as it relates to Nigerians and how much they share openly and honestly about their childhood. Is it acceptable? Is it not acceptable? But at this point in the conversation, the mother-in-law, she never changed her facial expression. She never changed her facial expression. She never showed an ounce of empathy, sympathy, care, nothing. In my opinion, cover your ears, kiddos. Cover your ears. I'm about to say a bad word. Okay? And I want to give you time to cover your ears in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The mother-in-law didn't give a fuck, in my opinion. Pardon my language. Kalichi Author said it's hush hush. Abuse is swept under the rug in the Nigerian culture. Correct? I'm assuming that's what you're referring to. I'm about to open up the lines. Give me a few more seconds, and I'm going to allow you all to come up and share your point. So they switched to a scene at the dinner table. Now we're going to hone in on her family. She explained her assignment to her family. Britt told her family, listen, I told them about the abuse. Ooh, child, why she do that? She said, I told them about the abuse. The grandmother said, well, you don't know what action took place. And Brittany said, all I know, I don't know what action took place, but all I know is it never stopped. The sexual abuse never stopped. Y'all, wow, wow, wow. At this point, I just wanted to tune out. It was so much for me. And I thought, if everybody keeps tuning out, how are we going to learn? At this point, we need to lean in. So I said, I'm going to stay. We need to hear this kind of stuff. Brittany says, so Brittany and her brother have a separate scene, and he's pushing her to accept that she deserves the best, even though she was violated and traumatized as a child. That was a really nice scene. That was a great buffer. Thank you, Own Network, for putting a little bit of love in there with the heaviness. So they shift to day 2 with the therapist, Dr. Tracy, whom I absolutely adore. She is a badass chick. She understands the assignment. This woman, I just love how she lays out things on this show. Dr. Tracy explained the sensitivity is actually grief that we're witnessing in Brittany. She was like, they're calling you sensitive, but what it is grief. Why am I talking about this to y'all? Because maybe sometimes it's not that somebody's sensitive. Maybe they're actually grieving something. That's a perceived loss, not necessarily a death, but they're grieving something. She could be grieving her childhood. She could be grieving the fact that her innocence was taken away. But I just like the fact that the therapist laid this out. Wow. A good therapist, it amazes me what a good therapist can do for your healing. So the therapist goes on and says that you're feeling, she's talking to Brittany, the fact that you're feeling like you have to protect your family is a toxic agreement. And you don't have to honor that. And I hope this is helping someone that's tuned in. I really hope this is helping someone. She says, anytime you feel like you have to protect your family from stuff that have happened, that is a toxic agreement and you don't have to honor it. And it stops today. Brittany goes on to say she felt lonely when they didn't help her. Imagine that. As a child, she felt lonely Nobody came to her aid. Her family left her on that island alone to continue to be sexually abused. When we turn a blind eye in our own homes and these kids come to us, or you have an inkling that something is going on, and if you refuse to address it, and if you do not remove the predator from the home, you are aiding and abetting the sexual and or physical abuse. And yeah, I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about it because it's wrong, you guys. It's wrong. If you see something, say something. If you see something, say something. That child should be your only priority, period. Okay. So that was really good. It was heavy, it was a lot, but it was a necessary, uncomfortable moment because it was a means to get to the end. Let me continue. And I just want to give you all a couple of seconds to process everything that we're talking about. Dr. Tracy went on to say, you have every right to be pissed off and angry. She didn't say pissed off. Now I'm putting my own words. But she says you have every right to be angry with your family for neglecting your needs and neglecting to protect you. They should be expressing their remorse. They should be expressing their care and concern for you. You don't have to carry this anymore. And let me tell you how good this show is. I love the fact that Dr. Tracy has so much wherewithal about when to bring in a backup coach. She brought in another therapist who specializes in trauma to facilitate a meeting between Brittany and her family. Y'all, that's girl power. True girl power says, let me bring you in. I need your help, friend. I specialize in this, but you specialize in that. And I can tackle this, but I need you to help me with that. That was beautiful. I love the collaboration. The collaboration. Dr. Tracy also told us why she was bringing in another therapist. She says she needed another therapist to facilitate the meeting with Brittany and her family because she needs Brittany to leave prepared to be in a healthy marriage. If we don't talk about this today, you're not going to be in a position to be a wife and to be a healthy one. Y'all, listen, that's when it started to get really, really good. Tammy Bold says, Tracy tags off a lot. Vanessa says, I love Dr. Tracy. And I'm like, okay, at that point, I'm like, okay, maybe there's going to be some resolution to this. Okay. G-Day's task was to sit down with his mom and set boundaries. And at this point, I felt like everything was coming together, right? And that's why therapy is so important, y'all. Get yourself, if you know you have family dynamics that are just sitting there and festering, get yourself in front of a good therapist. It's so important. The CEO Finance Queen, she says, I love this show. It shows a lot of the psychological and behavioral traits of the Black experience. Queen Sheba, you should be on this show. You will be a powerhouse. Listen, I receive it in the name of Jesus. I don't know what they would do with me, but I'm just open to receive at this point. Thank you for thinking of me. Thank you. That was really nice to say. All right. So Brittany gets in front of her family with the trauma therapist that's brought in to tackle this. Now, let's talk a little bit about the trauma therapist. Beautiful, beautiful Black woman, young. And the reason why I'm pointing out young, because typically I would not select a young therapist, but this therapist was more than capable of understanding the assignment and running the play and getting the job done. Here's the first example. See, I'm not just talking. What do you mean by that, Queen Sheba? Let me run it down. When the younger therapist sat down in front of those older folks, I felt like the uncle tried to intimidate the therapist because the first thing he says to the therapist is, I'm not into this. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not into this kind of stuff. And she said, sir, I understand that, but this is not for you. This is for Brittany. Oh, this is for Brittany. Wow. I like how she set the expectation. I loved how she set the expectation. This ain't about you. This is about her. And what you're not going to do is come up in here and browbeat me and think I'm going to back up off what needs to be said. I am here to support her, and I'm going to run the play, whether you agree to it or not. So you coming in here with all of this negativity, talking about and beating your chest and your masculinity about what you're not into, you're not the one who was sexually abused. This ain't about you in this moment. And that's the problem with this family. You've made it about you as opposed to making it about the victim. Making about the victim. So Brittany starts off by sharing, and it took her some time to compose herself, but baby, her family irked the hell out of me. The uncle acknowledged that those kids were being beat like rag dolls. The uncle acknowledged in this therapy session that those kids were being beat like rag dolls, but what he said is he made himself a buffer to the physical abuse. Sir, you should have called the police. You should have called the police when you knew your brother was beating those kids black and blue. You coming over every now and then to stop a whooping from here or there did nothing to their psyche and nothing for their psyche. You protected him and you allowed those kids to continue to get beat, and you made yourself feel like a hero because every now and then you would stop in as a buffer, as if they didn't have the next 23 hours of the day with this abusive man. Okay. How come that family didn't report this abuse, y'all? Why did they protect that man and allow him to beat those kids? So at the end, not at the end, she paused. The therapist says, "What do you feel about what she's telling you?" You know what that man looked in the camera and say? "I don't feel nothing. I don't feel anything. I have no thoughts about her abuse. I feel nothing. I feel nothing." Let that marinate. He refused to acknowledge her. He refused to acknowledge the physical abuse. Then she shifts. I like this play. Brittany say, "Okay, well, let's talk about the sexual abuse." She started off and she said, "I was groomed and I was touched inappropriately." The uncle shook his head and rolled his eyes. I damn near threw my remote at the TV. I damn near threw my remote at the television with all his antics and rolling his eyes. And that's when I was like, wait a minute. Is he the one that sexually abused her? I'm so confused. What is this body language? What does this mean? Is it him and she's just not going to say it's his name? Did the therapist work together to say you can look at him and talk in the second person? Is it the second person, y'all? Or however you want to talk. You don't have to say his name. Maybe I was like, is it him? And the therapist helped her to confront him without putting his ass on blast because I don't understand why he's behaving like this. So then he shook his head, he rolled his eyes. She did acknowledge that her grandma tried, but the effort was in vain because the abuse continued. So the uncle failed her, the grandma failed her. Some of y'all are out here failing these young people. The predator is still in the family, y'all, and they're not saying who it is. The predator is still in the family. The therapist says, "Is this person still in the family?" She says, "Yes." She says, "Do you still have to deal with this person at family events?" She said, "Yes." Oh my God. We don't know who the person is. The uncle, then something must have clicked in his head because then he started to acknowledge her pain at this point. And he says, "I'm sorry, Britt." Then he became visibly emotional in his confessional. Y'all, this is what broke my heart. Do y'all know how old this girl is, this young lady is? I'm finna tell you, I'm going somewhere with this. Do y'all know how old she is? Thank you, Suki. Suki says, "Thank you, Queen. I watch you all the time, still in shock." Me too. I'm going somewhere with this. This is going to be a trigger moment, but it's a real moment. It's happening in real time, but I'm going to give a trigger warning. It's going to be tough, but it's the reality of what's happening to people in real life. I'm going to take a deep breath. Brittany shares that the last time this person had sex with her was at age 25. And if she's 28, that's 3 years ago. The last time this man touched her, y'all are saying 27, was 2 years ago. The last time this man, whomever it is that has been doing this to her since she was a little girl, was 2 years ago at age 25. Yeah, let that linger. There's so many questions. I don't understand that level of trauma, that level of abuse. I know some people may feel like, well, you're grown now. Why would you even let him come over to your apartment? I don't know. I can't answer it. I'm not qualified to do so. This is the last time was age 25. So then she and her grandmother, they have a one-on-one on camera. The grandmother revealed that she was sexually abused too in this family by an old man that was old enough to be her damn grandfather. The grandmother say it was so horrific that she had to leave home at age 16 because she couldn't fight him off anymore. So much trauma in this family. Wow. My heart broke for the grandmother. My heart broke for Brittany, but it's a start. It's so heavy, but it's a start. Let's shift to G-Day. So then G-Day and his had a talk with his mom. It went fairly well. They talked about the dynamics with he and his wife, that you're my mom, you'll always be in my life, but I have to prioritize my mom. I have to prioritize my wife. He said something that seems so to me. I don't like the dynamics. What he said is, as a Nigerian, I have been your son, I have been your husband, and I have been your father. Y'all, what we doing to these boys? That your son has to be your husband, your father, and your son as a single woman. That is a form of an emotional, toxic relationship. Go back and play it. He said your husband and your father. Excuse me? So they talked, they expressed their concerns. The mother's primary concern is he's going to forget her. Keep in mind, I don't believe the mother has ever held the honor of being a wife. It appears to be a win-win at this point for both sides. Now, at this point, it appears to be a win-win until they sit down and have the last dinner. But I still was questioning the mother-in-law because I'm like, this seemed too easy. Damn, she's on board. That was her only concern. Okay, we're good. They have the final dinner. G-Day, he shares his assignment with the table. Okay, that's the scene I just showed you. His wife, soon-to-be wife, asked him if that conversation was tough with his mother. Let me tell you all something, ladies and gentlemen. That is a reasonable question between a husband and a wife that love and care about each other. She wasn't being messy. That's what husband and wives that love each other, that are in healthy dynamics do. Was that tough? Even if, like, my husband has a son. My stepson is a young man. And sometimes my husband has to have talks with him. I'll be like, how did it go? Was it tough? So that's perfectly normal for her to ask that question. And for some reason, it sets his mama off. Mama jumps in. You saw the scene, you saw the clip. And she says, if he didn't want to marry you, he wouldn't. Mother poses, at this point, I believe, a very confrontational question. The mama says, since you all have been living together, have I bothered you? This sets it all off. It explodes from there. Britt defends the situation and all hell breaks loose. You just saw the clip. Britt brought up the V-Day, the Valentine's Day dinner. The mother starts yelling. She says in a Nigerian culture, you will respect me. You will take my plate. Then the mama told him outside, don't you be a wimp for a woman. Y'all, this lady is hell on wheels, in my opinion. She doesn't like Brittany. That's it. That's all. She don't like her. She's envious, I believe, and she's jealous of her son's wife because she was never a wife. She's resentful of Britt's position in her son's life. This is horrible because I believe you're competing for your son, ma'am. He can't be a wimp. In your opinion, he can't be a wimp for a woman, but he can be wimp for mommy. He can be wimpy for mommy, but nobody else. Okay, girl. Okay. G-Day, he goes to Britt. Now, I felt like this was wrong, but y'all gonna have to walk me through this. Nigerians, Africans, anybody of different culture. He goes up to Brittany, and he says we have to apologize. We cannot be slow about it. In one instance, I feel like it was an excellent demonstration of leadership because he needed to shut it down to get to the point of having the family's blessings. I understood it, but it made me uncomfortable. I understand he's bridging the gap. Britt submitted to her husband in order to receive the blessings of the family to get married. I'm just concerned that the mother is going to continue like this whirlwind and this roller coaster of taking this girl on emotional highs and lows. Why are they apologizing? If somebody explained to me why he felt like he needed to apologize to his mother, what offense did they do to the mother? I'm open. Can someone explain the offense? And I love the fact that Britt positioned her heart to get down on her knees and apologize to that mother. Because not only did she have to apologize, they say in Nigerian culture, you got to get down on your knees to ask for forgiveness. And she did it. And she did it. Now they have the final therapy session. They recap their task with Dr. Tracy. Brittany says she feels light, she feels free, and she feels like she's in a good place to continue the work. Jide shared that his mom blew up and that his mom, the Nigerian mother-in-law, may be experiencing separation anxiety. He told the therapist that they kneeled in front of her. They asked for her forgiveness. Now, here's the thing. The therapist asked Britt if that was hard for her. And she said, no, it wasn't hard. She said she didn't understand the value of having to bow down on her knees. The apology, she says, I'm okay with apologizing. I just need to understand the symbolism of me getting down on my knees to please this lady. The therapist says it's a good move. So if the therapist says it's a good move, I'm going to go with it. She says, because it keeps you moving forward. It keeps you moving forward. They have the final blessing ceremony. This man said the most amazing thing before the blessing ceremony. He looked at the therapist and he said, and I'm talking about G-Day, he looked at the therapist. He said, when I initially came into this house, I looked at you and I told you, or you may have sensed that I was a bit guarded about my mother. And I said that if I did not receive my mother's blessings, I was not going to marry her. He says, here's where I am today. If my mama don't want to bless me, that's fine, because I will move forward with this marriage. He said, after going through this process, this therapeutic process, after I've really sat down, I realize I have a lot of work to do, but I am willing to move forward in love, in matrimony with this woman. I'm going to marry the woman I love. That's it. That's all. And y'all, this was Family or Fiance. I hope I recapped it. I hope you got a full view, a deeper understanding of what happened. I am going to open up the lines. We've been on for let's do 15 minutes. If you would like to come up, if you have any questions, if you would like to share your thoughts, here's the thing. You got 30 to 90 seconds, okay? So that we can get everybody in. If you would like to share your thoughts on this episode, on some of the highs, the lows, the cultural things. Also, we can talk about abuse that we hide. Why we're not protecting children. Why do we prioritize men over children? Why are we hell bent? I don't know. Simone Wealthy, welcome.
Good afternoon, Queen.
Hey, good afternoon. What are your thoughts, Simone? Did this blow you away?
Oh, it was a very good episode. I looked at it last night after we got off the live. I got so many thoughts. Let me conform them. I don't think she needs to get married right now. I like them together. I think he's a good guy. I think will be a great husband for her. But I really think she needs to work on her because, as that counselor or the therapist was saying, as a therapist was saying, she's grieving right now all the things that have happened to her mother passing away at 10 months old, the father's abuse and all of those things. And she's just coming off of 2 or 3 years removed from it happening again. I don't think she should get married at this moment. I think she needs to get more therapy and get to a place where I mean, I don't know. It's horrible. I can't say she'll ever not
I
forget
agree.
about it or anything,
Mm,
but it's just, I just think she needs a little bit more therapy so she can know how to not, to me, cowered down to this mother-in-law. Boundaries need to be set. That mother-in-law is trying to create
mm,
that he's still going to be number one even after they get married. And she needs to put a boundary in place right now. I have a
I
friend
agree.
who's going through the same thing. Her mother-in-law is Ethiopian and they have these power struggles, and it can be very, very bad. I mean, going through the exact same thing. And personally, I think that the her uncle, either some of his children and or
Mm,
other siblings of his children violated her. I think they might be closer in age. But
ah.
I got so much on this one.
I'm
This
gonna come
is
back. Well, hang
this
out,
is
hang out. We're
horrible.
gonna continue. Hang out. I'm gonna go to Tammy. Tammy Bowles, welcome. Listen, Tammy, hold on. If you have anything playing in the background, go ahead and mute it and then unmute your microphone on your device to which you want to speak us. But if you have a TV going or a speaker, it's gonna give you an echo. Welcome, Tammy.
Can
Can
you
you
hear
hear it?
me?
Okay, welcome, Tammy. How are you? We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep,
Okay,
we can
welcome,
hear you.
Tiffany. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. I've always said,
Okay, you
how
have
are
an echo.
you?
You got to
I'm
turn off the
fine, thank
device
you.
that's playing in the
I've
back.
always said that some red flags when it came to men were if he's a only child of his mother, young child, the youngest child of his mother, the only boy, double that if she's a single mother, widow, or divorced. And also if he's financially supporting his mother. Those are some red flags because it creates this dynamic for some reason between these mothers and these sons. And you see that regardless if he's Nigerian or American. And I'm afraid that it's only going to get worse if some strong boundaries are not put in place. And that's no matter what the culture is.
Oh, I agree.
And this is a show that I've been watching since its inception on OWN, and it's just a great show.
It is.
Tracy has she's a good therapist, and I love it when she hands off to other therapists, especially when there's a dynamic between parent and child, especially when the child's a minor. That's all.
Bravo. Would you say
I love you,
job
Queen
well
Shiva.
done? Oh,
All
thank
your
you.
interviews, especially from your Queen in the City to the one with the people from Love and Marriage, Huntsville, and that mess of a show. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you. That's Tammy Bowles, everybody. I feel like this is your first time up, so thank you, Tammy. I hope you continue to visit the palace and just share your thoughts. We always appreciate it over here. Um, LaDawn, I see you, but let me go to Nwangi because I think Nwangi has a short time to talk. LaDawn, I got you. Because Nwangi, I think you're in a car. So I'm going to go ahead and, Nwangi, if you can unmute yourself, I want to give you a couple of seconds before I go to LaDawn. So,
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Wine. This is my first
hi.
time. Queen Sheba, well done for all you do. I am an ardent listener and a subscriber. So I'm Nigerian, right? So which prompted me to like come on and talk a little about our culture and what is actually a bad behavior and not culture.
Okay.
Yes, it is a sign of respect. It's what we I was raised in Nigeria, but I live now in the United States. It's a sign of respect when our elders eat, we take out their plates, we serve them, and also our better half. That's how we are raised. But moving over to the States, it's a bit different. But when we have our parents, in-laws come over, it's expected that we do same, right? But was the mother disrespectful in how she was passing her her grievance or how she felt, very much so. But then we also have to understand that it's different in different families. My mother would not behave like that to my brother's child, to my brother's wife or fiance or whatever that may be, right? And Nigeria, we have different, so many ethnic group and cultures. So their Yorubas, theirs could be very extreme. I'm Igbo. I don't know if you watch Housewives of Potomac, where Wendy's from. She's Igbo as well. Our culture is different, but the essence of respect is so much, especially when it comes to elders. And regardless of, especially if you're not getting married to someone from your own culture, even if you're Nigerian, like I was married to someone from the Southwest, where this family are from. It was different. It was quite daunting for me because of so much expectation. You have to kneel, you have to do all of this to all your elders. So both sides, the mother is at fault, the son is also at fault. I'll say he was supposed to have cautioned his mother going into it, and also he should have prepared the woman, his fiance, on the expectation. Because if you're not prepared for it, any little thing that the mother does is going to feel like disrespect for you. Meanwhile, where she's coming from is only part of her life. It's not like she's trying to be disrespectful, but how she comes off looks disrespectful. But is it disrespectful? Yes, but she's trying to take her own stake. And when it comes to like some mothers trying to be, oh, I'm going to always be first, that's the mentality of a part of our culture that comes from a different, but not all Nigerians have that. But it's a cultural thing that your mother is your queen even after you are married. So that's
Okay.
something that, yes, it kind of
I have
like plays a,
I
a,
have
a different role for everybody.
I have a quick question for you before I go to the
Yeah.
next person. Um, in the Nigeria, what is the symbolism of her having to kneel in front of the mother-in-law? If you could explain that real quick.
So it's cultural to show that sign of respect. For the son, the man is going to lay down like when he's greeting his parents. I don't know if you've watched, if you've ever come across like when they go for the weddings and all of that, you see all the men lay down. It's not
Okay.
just wedding, it's how we say good morning in that part of Nigeria. You
Okay.
wake up in the morning, you go to greet your parents, you're on the floor. The girl is gonna kneel, the boy is gonna lay flat. It's respect.
And my final question for you before I let you go is the plate incident really ticked the mother off. I know we say that it's a sign of respect to take her plate. Her plate was being taken by her son. Does the woman have to wait on the mother-in-law? Can the son not take the plate?
The son can take the plate, but the mother is coming in as the guest and you're bringing her into your home, to a new home with your new wife, right? In that instant, it's the girl that's supposed to do it in that instant. But like I said, the boy has his fault. He should have prepared her, right? When the boy takes it out to the mother in law, culturally, it looks as though the girl is not welcoming her to the home.
Mm. Okay, so the mother-in-law took that and ran with that as if the girl was not welcoming her and was being
Yes,
purposely disrespectful. Got it. All
yes.
right. All
But
right.
if you watch the other side, you could see where the uncle was telling the boy, go, but he was speaking in Yoruba. He was saying, go away. I'm going to talk to her. Go away.
Okay, got it.
That
Thank
was
you.
what was happening.
And how do you say your name again?
Wangi. It's a shout. My full name is Wanganga. Like I said, I'm from the Igbo side of Nigeria, not the Yoruba. So, but you can call it Wangi.
Okay,
Doesn't
Wangi,
sound
thank
funny.
you for coming up and laying it out. This was excellent that you just explained the cultural side and it gives us a little bit more understanding. You rock.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're
Keep doing
welcome.
what you're
Thank you
doing.
so much. Okay.
Okay.
All righty. All right, LaDawn, thank you for your patience, LaDawn. I knew she was in her car, and typically when people are in their car, they got a little bit of time before they arrive. So, LaDawn, what are your thoughts? Welcome, Queen.
Hey, Queen Sheba. First, I want to say that I understand different cultures. But I want to say that I think this mother is using her culture as an excuse to be a bully. Okay, because if you know your son is dating a person that's not from your culture or where you come from, you probably know that she don't know a lot of things. And if you were wanting to be treated like a queen and stuff like that, you should move like a queen, meaning grab her hand, teach her some things, talk to her, and you probably would have had a better outcome. But to just go straight to anger like she did it on purpose, it was mind blowing to me. And I get culture, but I feel like the Bible should trump culture all across the board. And that means once you get married, that is your family now. And I think she was being a bully. I didn't like the kneeling part because I felt like it was degrading, because she made a mistake because she wasn't educated on how the culture is. So I didn't feel like she did something so bad that she had to get on her knees and beg her for forgiveness. Okay, I want to know how in that culture, if a mother is wrong, what does she do to make amends to her child or who she hurt? She can't just be able to get away with anything just because she's the mom. But what I did respect was that her son was open to different areas, and he knows he's with this woman, that she's a good woman and she don't deserve this. And that's why I believe he changed his mind and said, I'm gonna marry her anyway, because she is a good person and I love her. And I'm glad he did
Yep.
switch. I'm all for the culture stuff, but I'm not for being a bully because of your culture.
The excellent layout. Thank you, LaDon. That was an excellent layout. Feel free to hang out. I'm gonna go to Yana and then Julie Land. And then I want to go back to something that Simone Wealthy put out on the table. Yana, welcome.
Hi, hey Queen, hey Palace. How's everybody
Hey.
doing? Um, I'm only up here because I understand a little bit. I've dated African men and but the thing was they did tell me certain things, like they'll tell me, okay, when we go, to this house or we go here, we go there, this is what you do. You know, they did put me up on game, which was great. Um I've seen Nigerian mothers and other African mothers act a fool. I've seen it before. Well, maybe I won't say act a fool. I'll just say act like that. It didn't happen to me because their mothers wasn't around, thank the Lord. Um, but it happens, and now I've spoken to someone and I've had to kind of like bow a little bit and speak, and that's what I was told to do, so I did it. But and I've had African women be really mean and nasty toward me the same way. They wasn't the mothers, they were just older women that was around and they were mean and nasty. And he would often kind of nudge me and tell me to fix my face because he'll see my face was like, about to go off. And I would just tell him, hey, I'm ready to go. And yeah, it's a difficult position to be in. Again, it didn't happen to me as in being their mothers, but yeah, they can be a little mean. They could be a little mean.
All right, all right. Okay, feel free to hang out, Yana. That's her perspective, y'all, based on real life experience. Feel free to hang out, ladies. I'm gonna go to Julie Land, and then I want to pose one more question from the American side, and then you ladies can give your thoughts if you have the time to do so. If you have the time, and if not, feel free to jump. Because I understand like we're midday. But Julie Land, welcome. Can you hear us, Julie? Hit settings.
Okay, can you guys hear me? I
Okay,
received
there
a
we
call.
go. There we
Okay,
go.
perfect.
Mhm.
Hi. Yes. First things first, Queen, you laid it out. Like this was a perfect recap. Because as soon as you posted yesterday, I went and watched the episode, and my mouth was on the floor. I'm a foreigner, but I grew up here in America. And what I can say is there's two parts to this. Number one, a lot of like Americans, especially African Americans, are very ignorant to other black cultures, and sometimes when we integrate like two different cultures, a lot of times I'm sorry, I'm holding my 2-month-old and he's
Oh,
making
you're fine. You're fine.
sometimes, like, when we have like Americans marry into foreign Black cultures, there's a lot of ignorance. They don't understand the core family values, the culture. Sometimes they're disrespectful to the in-laws, and it's just a big cultural clash. But at the same time, that mother-in-law is a witch. She's a witch. She's a witch. I don't care. I don't care. I watched it. She was trying to punk that girl with the whole apology. What I truly believe is that girl is really a good woman and she really has nothing to complain about her. So she's making the plate situation bigger than it actually is. And I also believe, just like you want her to be sensitive to your Nigerian culture, you also have to be sensitive to her American culture. Like LaDon said, she's probably doesn't know a lot of stuff. And as a mother-in-law, especially with Brittany's past, she didn't grow up with a mother. That girl is hurt. As a mother-in-law, that's a perfect opportunity for you to lend a hand out to her and guide her and nurture her. So for me, that shows that mother-in-law is a witch. She's selfish. This is why I refuse to be categorized as a boy mom, because I refuse to be categorized like with these emotionally incestuous weirdos. Because just no. So that's my take on it. Oh, and I also think, excuse me, like Simone, I think was the name said. I think with the uncle, it might be somebody that's very close to him. That's the uncomfortable expression you were seeing from him. I don't think it's him. I just think it's someone that's very close to him that he still interacts with till
Oh,
this day. That's what I genuinely think.
okay. Okay. Wow. All right. So y'all, I want to put a trigger warning out there. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Linda had already put it. Let me see if I can go find it, the banner. If I can find it really quick. My moderator had already given us one. Linda Gamble. I'm trying to find it, Linda, real quick. Feel free to redo it, y'all. If I can't find it in like the next 10 seconds, I'm scrolling all the way to the top. Oh man, I should have saved it. Here it is. I found it. All right, we're gonna leave this up. Let me go ahead and star it. Let me get to my super chats, and then we're gonna get into maybe 5 minutes of discussion about, y'all know what the elephant in the room is. So give me 1 second, because money, 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 money comes to me, flowing effortless,
Money, money,
effortless,
money, money comes to me,
effortlessly.
flowing effortlessly. Money, 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 money comes to me, comes to me, comes to me, comes to me. Money, 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 money comes to me, flowing effortlessly. Money, 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 money comes to me, comes to me, comes to me. Money, 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 money.
Absolutely. Flowing effortlessly. Patricia Bennett coming hot and heavy with a 2-piece and a pepper says Dr. Wendy went through the same thing with Eddie's mom. Ooh, but Wendy did not. So it separated them. For what we don't know the intricate details, but it seems like Eddie chose he chose Wendy over his mom. And to this day, I think that's a very strange relationship. CW says Dr. Wendy claims to be Nigerian. Oh, yeah, we got that one. Gwendolyn Crutcher, Miss Gwen coming through with a 5-piece. She says, yes, it's a power move to dominate and humiliate her, to make her a footstool. I have to agree with you. That's what I'm gonna go with my instinct. Don't mean I'm right. And at the end, that outburst validated my thought process. I agree with you, Miss Gwen. Goldie411, thank you for the 20-piece super sticker. We appreciate you, Queen. Real quick, healthcare worker says, big up yourself, Wangy. Respect to you. I love that you explain the culture. As descendants, we need to learn more about our ancestors' history and cultural customs and traditions. So, Wangy, they love the fact that you were able to click that link and walk us through what that looks like. How I See It TV says, if you are dating outside of your culture, it's also your duty to learn the customs and traditions. I have to say so. I think there's accountability on all parts. I have to agree with everyone today. All right. Trigger warning. Let me put up the trigger warning. Let me show you her face. This is Brittany. The first thing I want to say is I hope that they were able to offer her. Oh, I need to remove. I hope they were able to offer her a continuation of therapy sessions beyond that episode, if that makes any sense. I think she's going to need it. I think she's going to need it. And the reason why I said that, had she come on the show and said I was sexually abused as a child, A happened, B happened, C happened. But the fact of the matter that whomever this predator is, trigger warning, that whomever this predator is, and the last time he had sex with her, she was 25. I almost threw up in my mouth. That is a very toxic dynamic. It's beyond sexual abuse at this point. This woman is about to get married. My primary concern is, ma'am, will you feel compelled to give in? Should he come to your home when your husband's not there? It's just so much. That scares me. I'm concerned for her. I'm concerned that as a woman, she hasn't been able to free herself to not open the door to this person, to not victim shaming. But the last time he touched her, she was 25 years old. And y'all are saying she's 27. So that was 2 years ago. I think she needs ongoing therapy, because at some point we need a switch to click for her to be able to empower herself to say, I don't have to respond to that. I'm not that little girl anymore. I don't have to allow you to do this to me. Simone, this was your concern. I'm going to hand you the mic. What are your thoughts?
That was my chief concern. I think she needs to get, I don't even know the words, more therapy so she can get a grip on that situation, because if that happened just 2 years ago, she's still not out of it. She's still in it. To me, as a, non-clinical therapist, none of that. I think she really needs to get treatment for that so she can close the door on that and have this person nowhere around her. And that means possibly cutting ties with that uncle. And, you know, I hate to say it, with her grandmother, but, maybe seeing them outside of this person. Because I think that person is a cousin. I have a situation in my, not immediate family, but in my family that's very similar. My cousin just told me about it a few years ago, and I still don't know how to react to that. I mean, we still talk and everything, but when she told me what happened, this is a cousin of ours, and so it's just it's bad.
It's real bad. And the reason why I say I'm really concerned, because whomever this man is sick as fuck.
Yes,
Is
yes,
sick.
yes.
And he still gets to come around the family. That's
Hmm.
equally sick, because I'm sure there's other children running around at these barbecues. That's
Hmm.
sick. Now, ladies, we only have 2 of you up here. Feel free to come off mute. I don't want to put anybody on the spot. If you just hear from like moral support, I don't want to call out anybody's name unless you specifically would like to touch on this last point before we log off.
Well, what I would like to say is, for one, I hope that she continues therapy, and I hope that since she let her uncle and her grandmother know and put it to the forefront in front of the world, I hope they will stand by her and not invite him to the family functions. Because when it was asked, she said, do you have to still see him around the family? And she said yes. Hopefully now they stand by her and not let this person around the family at all, hopefully. But I've been in a situation like that. My uncle, touched me, and he also burnt me with hot grease. He threw hot grease on me, so I have third-degree burns on both sides of my arms and on my chest a little bit. And he ended up doing something else, unaliving my aunt in New York. So he ended up getting a lot of time. He got like 30 years, and he just got out like maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And my aunt wanted to invite him to Thanksgiving and something else, and I said, well, and then she wanted to give him my phone number. I said, just because you're there and that's your brother and you're willing to still have a relationship with him, and you know, or whatever, don't mean that everybody else is ready to do that. So I chose, just when he's around or going to certain things, I choose not to go. Point blank, period. I'm not bothered by it. I'm stronger now. I just look at them sideways, because maybe because it happened to me, I look at it different. But I feel like if somebody did that to one of my kids, I don't care how close they are in the family, I'm cutting you off for life. That's just how I feel. But there's a lot of families that still allow those people around. And it's sad. It's sad.
May I say something?
Sure, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I agree with Ladon, because when the grandmother said, I did everything I could but pull a family apart. So what that means to me is that, like, she thinks she tried to fix it, but still try to keep everything in the hush hush in the background. Probably to her, the next step would have been something more drastic, and then that would have exposed the actual abuser. And I think that we need to start getting, like, comfortable with blowing up in people's spot, like it is what it is. If you're an abuser, you need to be known, the whole family needs to know, and protect the person being abused. So, but that's my little take on that.
I agree. I agree. The situation in my family is very similar. Everything's hush hush. Like I said, I just learned about this because she told me it just about a year and a half ago, and
Mhm.
I've been all around this cousin. Nothing, I mean, and from what she's told me, she kept to herself for now until she's grown. Since she's been grown, but now it's all coming out, and I don't know if the people, because we're not near in proximity. They're in 4 or 5 states away from me. They're not receptive. They're making it like she's the black sheep and she's this and she's that. And I'm like, I believe her. I it's complicated. But she doesn't go to any function. She doesn't go to any family functions. When I go down there, I'm always like, okay, where's she at? Where's she at? And now I know why. Now
Yeah.
everything is making sense. I mean, for
Yep.
years we would go visit, and I'm like, okay, where's Dorinda? Where's she at? Where's she at? And
Yep.
now it's
Sometimes
just
people
now
are
it makes
acting
sense.
funny, and
Yeah,
now you gotta
they
take
make it,
perspective, y'all, to consider when people don't come around. It ain't necessarily because
yes.
they acting funny or sedity or bougie. Something could have happened.
Mhm. And it just breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart that, they making it out for her to be the problem and not clearly see that now it makes sense. I wouldn't come around you people either.
And the abuser gets to walk around free and just
Yes.
keep repeating the cycle
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. I wanna,
And
answer
protected.
a question real quick. I know some of you are saying, "Is it her father?" No, it's not her father. Initially, throughout the episode, I thought it was the dad too, but what she said is the dad was physically beating them really bad. Everybody knew. After the dad died, another man started to groom her sexually. Imma say this, as it relates to sexual abuse, child molestation, typically when men refuse to step in to help, typically, I'm not saying this is the case in this scenario, but a lot of times it's because they are also abusers. Maybe not the same
Mm,
victim, but they're also abusers.
mm, mm.
That's it. That's all. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
That
Uh,
makes sense because I was like, why isn't this uncle hot as fish grease right now? You know what I mean? Why isn't he upset? He is just like you said towards the end. He did show a little bit of emotion, but I I think you're spot on with that.
mhm. Vanessa says Stockholm syndrome is a coping mechanism to a captive or abusive situation. People develop positive feelings toward their captors and or abusers over time. Yeah, at this point, it's a sexual relationship that I'm very concerned about, and I don't. We need a therapist to break that down for us. The level of trauma. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Dark and Lovely says, as a retired parole agent, sex offenders never stop. Yeah, I'm sure
Mm,
there's another younger victim. And if the last time he came to her house is when she was 25, Maybe he didn't have access to the child because it seems like he prefers children, whomever he is. And the fact that they're not taking, he should be in prison right now. That's a
Yes.
whole other topic.
But
Charges should
Queen
be filed
Caesar,
on him. Go ahead.
but she does have childlike mannerisms and how she
Mm,
cowers down like childlike, like you can tell she's damaged, and he probably still preys on that of her.
yes.
Well, she will, because what happens is when from a psychological perspective, when you are sexually abused, it can impede your growth psychologically if
Mm,
you do not receive intensive behavioral therapy. That's why
Mm-hmm.
they say in child sex abuse cases, did the victim, they want to get them in therapy as quickly as possible
right.
because there's a likelihood that victims that are abused as children can oftentimes become predatory. If not predatory, they can be succumb to substance use, drugs, alcohol, prostitution, all of that stuff you see walking around your local cities and neighborhoods to
I agree.
numb the pain. What are your thoughts,
Mhm.
ladies? Final roundtable.
Yeah, I honestly, I think she doesn't need to get married right now. I hope they can continue in their relationship and continue being engaged, but she needs intensive therapy so that she can null through all of these feelings that are coming up now from what the therapist, I forgot her name, was saying. All the, because she's crying constantly. So I think she just needs to get all of that out and just have continued therapy and then move into a marriage, because that mother-in-law is something that she's going to capitalize on her being so meek.
Yeah. The mother is predatory. The mother-in-law is predatory in nature when it comes to see, you see how if you don't receive therapy, and I'm not calling the mother an abuser, emotionally, she's predatory on her son
Yes. Manipulative.
and her daughter. That's
Yes.
predatory in nature.
And
Mhm.
you know what I can see, like I can see happening in the future, because the son is a good guy. You can tell he's a good guy, and he really cares about her. So I really think she's in good hands when it comes to that. But I think in the future, the son is going to have no choice but to cut off the mother because she's going to force his hand,
Yeah.
especially if the wife is not fighting back. And because he cares for her so much, he will probably end up cutting her off eventually. That's probably what's going to happen because the mother's not going to stop. She's not. She's a witch. She's not going to stop. So that's what I see happening in the foreseeable future.
I agree. And that's our synopsis. That's our recap and review. Thank you to the wonderful panelists that came up today. Y'all, this was so good. I know it's different topics for us, but it's meaningful. It's meaningful because it's information we need and should have access to. It's tough, but we got to talk about it. We can't continue to sweep everything under the rug. You know what I mean? A blind eye does nothing to solutioning some of the things that we're up against as it relates to being women, men, Black community, non Black community. This stuff is happening in real life with or without our permission. The Queen speaks. I can't find the full. Oh, no, no, no. You got to go. You're not going to find it on YouTube. You're going to have to go to the own app, to the app, right, y'all?
Yeah, it probably won't be this latest episode, probably won't be on YouTube until maybe next week, or because
Oh,
it's since it just happened over the week, just played over the weekend, because the ones earlier in the season are on YouTube right now. But unless you want to wait a week, you have to go, like Queen said, to the app, or if you have cable, go to.
I watched it on a website called Broken Silence. So
oh,
yeah,
okay.
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So that's where I watched it on.
Okay, Tammy says, I love this live. No one ever reviewed this show. I love it. I love this show.
Mhm.
Family or fiance, listen, they be coming in there with so many problems. It's a really great break. It's reality. It's unscripted. It's real. It's raw. You cannot rehearse some of the stuff that you see going on, from fights to arguments. Most times they're able to leave committed to a marriage. There's been times that they were like, no, we're not marrying each other. You just never know which way it's going to go. People have cut off their families. People have broken up. It gets really, really deep. I love Dr. Tracy. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, ladies. Everybody get back to work now. Back to work. Have
Have
a
a good
wonderful
day.
day. And thank
Have a good one.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.